The sun was setting, casting a warm orange hue across the sprawling truck yard of Continental haulers. Rows of gleaming trucks stood in formation, waiting for their drivers to embark on the next journey. Alex, with his silvering hair and rough hands, sat in the driver's lounge, sipping his third cup of black coffee for the day. The walls of the lounge were plastered with old route maps, pictures of trucks from bygone eras, and a corkboard full of job postings. He picked up a faded photograph of himself from 20 years ago, standing proudly next to his first rig. Time had passed quickly, he mused, and he felt every mile of it in his bones. Alex was a man of routine, often taking the same routes, frequenting familiar diners, and always following his set of rules for the road. The entrance door swung open, breaking his reverie. In walked Jamie, earbuds in, tapping away on a sleek tablet. With a confident swagger, the youngster made his way to the counter, ordering an energy drink. Alex eyed Jamie for a moment. The kid looked fresh, probably just finished trucking school. He remembered hearing some talk around the yard about new drivers being paired with veterans for experience sharing. Alex hoped he wouldn't get saddled with a rookie, but fate, it seemed, had other plans. "Alex," called out the supervisor, Marty, as he entered the lounge, a clipboard in hand. "Meet Jamie. You two are paired for the next long haul, Route 27. Jamie looked up from his tablet, extending a hand. "Hey, heard a lot about you. They say you're the best." Alex grunted, shaking the offered hand. "We'll see about that." He took a deep sip of his coffee, his gaze moving to Marty. "Route 27? Seriously? That's the desolate one, right?" Marty nodded. "Company's expanding operations. You'll be among the first on that route. It's a big responsibility. Thought you'd be the right man to guide the young blood." Jamie grinned, brushing back his hair. "Don't worry about it. Got all the maps and tools right here," he said, waving his tablet. "Technology, man. Makes everything easier." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Tech won't tell you about the spots where your signal will drop, or the stretches where you won't find a soul for miles, or even the good places to grab a bite." Jamie shrugged, his grin unwavering. "Guess that's why they paired me with you." As the two collected their route papers and headed towards their assigned truck, a massive rig painted in the company's colours, the sun dipped below the horizon. The journey ahead was long and the partnership was uncertain. But one thing was for sure. It was going to be a ride neither would forget. The hum of the engine rumbled beneath them, as the massive truck hurtled down the highway. The night had settled in, with only the truck's headlights illuminating the path ahead. The interior of the cab was dimly lit, the dashboard's glow casting a soft light on their faces. Jamie had taken the first shift, and his fingers danced over the touchscreen GPS, setting up their route. "Says here we'll be on this stretch for another 5 hours, then a quick stop at Dawson's Diner. Ever been?" Alex, lounging in the passenger seat, looked over. "Dawson's. Used to be a good place, but I haven't stopped there in years. Ever since they built that new highway, most of the traffic bypasses it. Might be shut now for all we know." Jamie's face fell a little. "Well, I was hoping for some good food. These protein bars aren't doing it for me." Alex chuckled. "There's a spot, about 3 hours in, Mara's Place. Not on your fancy maps, I bet. Good food, good people." The young driver looked skeptical, but after a few more hours on the monotonous road, his stomach's rumblings made the decision for him. As they pulled into Mara's Place, the neon sign flickered, declaring it was open. The diner, with its chrome finish and checkered floors, looked like it was plucked right out of the 1950s. A bell jingled as they entered, and a middle-aged waitress with a name tag reading Mara greeted them. "Alex, been a while," she exclaimed, rushing over to give him a warm hug. Jamie raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "Seems like you're a bit of a celebrity." Alex chuckled. "Been stopping here for years. Best pie on this side of the Mississippi." After settling into a booth, Jamie, ever the curious one, started questioning Mara about the area, the diner, and any interesting tales she might have. Alex was content sipping his coffee, letting the young one have his fill of stories. However, the mood shifted when Jamie asked about Route 27. Mara hesitated, glancing at Alex. Not many choose that route these days. Ever since they built the new highway, it's mostly been abandoned. But there have been stories. Jamie leaned in, intrigued. Stories. Mara looked around, as if expecting someone to overhear, then whispered. Truckers talking about strange things, cargo going missing, people being followed. But the oddest one is about a roadblock. Alex interjected. Probably just tales from tired drivers. The mind sees what it wants when you've been on the road too long. Mara nodded. Maybe, but just be careful, all right? Especially with the young one here. Jamie chuckled. I can handle myself, thank you. Plus, I've got Alex here to show me the ropes. The rest of the meal passed with lighter conversation, but Jamie's thoughts kept drifting back to Mara's words. As they climbed back into their rig, the vast, dark expanse of Route 27 stretching out before them, Jamie couldn't shake off a creeping feeling of unease. The highway continued its endless stretch beneath a blanket of stars, with the rig's engine being the only consistent sound breaking the stillness. Inside the cab, the dynamic between Alex and Jamie had shifted. There was a newfound camaraderie, formed in the shared spaces of the diner booth and tales of the road. However, with Mara's stories fresh in Jamie's mind, every shadow seemed suspicious, and every distant light appeared as a potential follower. Alex noticed Jamie's frequent glances in the rearview mirror. First time on a long haul, the road can play tricks on your mind, Alex offered, trying to break the tension. It's not that, Jamie hesitated. It's just... Well, ever since we left the diner, I feel like there's been a car tailing us, far back, but always there. Alex squinted into the darkness. Could be another trucker, or just someone heading the same way. Yet the seed of doubt was planted. As the hours rolled on, the two began noting strange occurrences. Every time they stopped, even briefly, they'd find minor signs of tampering with their cargo. Nothing was missing, but locks seemed played with, and seals slightly disturbed. Growing more alarmed, Jamie decided to rely on his tech. Setting up a discreet camera facing the rear, they resumed their journey, hoping to catch any culprits in the act. As dawn approached, a soft chime indicated the camera had detected movement. Pulling over, the two reviewed the footage. There it was. A dark sedan, consistently appearing every time they stopped, always keeping a distance but unmistakably following them. It's probably just a coincidence. Jamie tried to convince himself, but the unease in his voice was evident. Alex rubbed his temples. Coincidence or not, we can't ignore this. We should report it at the next truck stop. Deciding to push forward and reach a populated area, they continued their drive, now with heightened alertness. But as Route 27 unfurled, it became evident that the journey wouldn't be as straightforward as they hoped. An hour into their drive, the truck's advanced systems began to glitch. The GPS displayed erratic routes, the fuel gauge fluctuated wildly, and communications channels jammed with static. Jamie frantically tapped on his tablet, attempting to diagnose the issue. "We've been hacked!" Jamie exclaimed, a mix of panic and disbelief in his eyes. "Someone's messing with our systems." Alex gripped the wheel tighter. "We can't stop now, not with that car on our tail. We rely on the old ways, landmarks, intuition." The sun began its ascent, casting the highway in a soft morning glow. But for the two truckers, the light did little to alleviate the growing sense of danger. "Next stop," Alex declared. "We go off-grid. We avoid the main roads, use the back routes I know. Whoever's after us, we'll lose them." The rig roared in agreement, speeding forward, with its occupants now united in purpose against an unseen adversary. The morning sun crept higher, casting long shadows over the more rustic roads Alex had chosen. The scenery changed noticeably, from the vast expanses of Route 27 to tree-lined pathways and occasional old bridges crossing silent streams. The ambience was calm, a stark contrast to the tension inside the truck. Jamie was impressed. "These paths aren't even on the maps," he murmured, watching as the modern tech failed to keep track of their movements. Alex smiled wryly. These are the roots from before everything was digitized. Before trucking became more about tech and less about the feel of the road. Despite the beauty surrounding them, the sedan's presence weighed heavily on their minds. Their tactic seemed to work initially, as the car disappeared from their rear view. However, the sense of victory was short-lived. As they crossed an old stone bridge, Jamie's sharp eyes caught a glint in the bushes. "Alex, look," he pointed. A metallic device with blinking lights was attached to the undercarriage of their trailer. "A tracker," Alex muttered. "That's how they've been on our tail." Without a word, Jamie leaped out, wrenching the device free and tossing it into the flowing stream below. Watching it disappear, the two shared a moment of hope, believing they'd finally gained an edge. But the universe had other plans. As they continued on their path, they were met with an unexpected sight. The road ahead was blocked by fallen trees, making it impassable. "This can't be natural," Jamie whispered, a hint of fear creeping into his voice. Alex nodded, scanning the surroundings. "We've been led into a trap. We need to turn around fast." But fate was not on their side. The familiar dark sedan emerged from behind, blocking their retreat. Two masked figures stepped out, carrying ominous-looking equipment. Panic gripped Jamie. "What do they want from us?" Alex quickly formulated a plan. "Listen, these old trucks have more power than they expect. If I gun the engine and charge, we might be able to push past the sedan. It's risky, but it's our only shot." Jamie gulped but nodded, bracing himself. With a determined expression, Alex slammed his foot on the accelerator. The truck roared to life, barreling towards the sedan. The masked figures scrambled, clearly not expecting this bold move. With a tremendous crash, the rig rammed into the car, pushing it aside and clearing a path. Utilizing this brief moment of surprise, Alex navigated the truck back onto the main road, leaving the masked men and their sedan in a cloud of dust. Though they had escaped the immediate danger, the atmosphere in the cab was thick with unease. Who were their pursuers? Why were they being targeted? The questions loomed large as the road continued to stretch endlessly before them. Having put some distance between themselves and their pursuers, Alex took the first opportunity to pull into a secluded rest stop. Both men were drained, the weight of the chase taking its toll on them. But the need for answers and a plan was paramount. Jamie started with the truck's systems, trying to restore normalcy. "We were targeted digitally," he mused, fingers flying over his tablet. "Whoever was after us had serious tech skills." Alex, meanwhile, inspected the cargo. "What we're carrying isn't anything special, just general goods for a retail chain, so why the intense interest?" While going through the inventory, Alex stumbled upon a smaller, unlisted box. Curiosity piqued, he cautiously opened it. Inside, surrounded by layers of protective foam, was a small metallic device, intricate, gleaming, and unlike anything he'd ever seen. Jamie looked over, eyes widening. That looks like a military-grade prototype. I've read about these in deep tech forums but never seen one. It's advanced tracking and communication tech." Alex frowned. "This wasn't on our cargo list. We're being used to smuggle this thing, and those guys are probably here to intercept it." The realization sank in, the gravity of their situation becoming even more tangible. They were inadvertently caught in something much larger than a simple haul. "We need to alert the authorities," Jamie said, determination in his voice. Before Alex could agree, the familiar static of the truck's radio caught their attention. An unrecognizable voice crackled through. "Truck 27A, we know you have the device. Hand it over, and no harm will come to you." A tense silence enveloped the cab. Both men exchanged glances, understanding they had to make a choice. "We can't just give in," Jamie whispered. Alex nodded, taking a deep breath before replying into the radio. "Who are you and why are you after this?" The voice responded coldly. "That's not your concern. Hand it over, or there will be consequences." Determined to not be pushed around, Alex formulated a plan. "We're close to Fairview Police Station. If we can make it there, we'll be safe." Without waiting for a response from the voice on the radio, Alex ignited the engine and the truck roared back onto the highway. The drive was tense, every passing car a potential threat, every shadow a potential ambush. Yet, as the miles rolled on and the police station neared, there was no sign of their pursuers. It was almost too easy. The sense of relief, however, was short-lived. As they pulled into the station, they were met with an eerie sight. The building's lights were out, patrol cars abandoned, and an unsettling silence hung in the air. "They knew our plan," Jamie whispered, fear evident in his eyes. But before despair could set in, headlights pierced the night. From the darkness emerged several police vehicles, sirens blaring. Leading them was Officer Daniels, a friend of Alex from his many journeys. "We received an anonymous tip about a situation here," Daniels said, relief evident on his face upon seeing Alex unharmed. "Seems like you two have been through quite a night." With the police as their backup, the duo finally felt safe. The mysterious device was handed over to the authorities and their story relayed. As dawn broke, illuminating the police station in a soft light, the two truckers, now bonded by their harrowing experience, decided on one thing. Their next journey would be a simple, peaceful vacation day. Weeks had passed since the harrowing chase, but the events were still fresh in the minds of Jamie and Alex. The mysterious device had turned out to be a cutting-edge piece of military tech that had somehow found its way into their cargo. The investigations were ongoing, but both men were cleared of any wrongdoing. Despite the traumatic events, life had to move on. The road, with all its allure and memories, called out to them. But this time they opted for a different kind of journey. Jamie's old pickup was loaded with camping gear, fishing rods, and a cooler full of food and beverages. The two had decided to explore the quieter, more scenic routes, taking a break from the hustle of cargo deliveries. As they drove through winding paths surrounded by towering trees and over rustic bridges with streams flowing underneath, Jamie turned to Alex. "You ever think of giving up trucking after everything?" Alex pondered for a moment before replying, "The road's been my life. Good or bad, it's given me stories, friendships, and memories. I can't let one bad event take away from all that. But maybe, just maybe, I'll take it a bit slower now." They eventually reached a serene lakeside spot, setting up camp as the sun began to set. The warm hues of the setting sun, combined with the tranquil sounds of nature, provided a stark contrast to the events of that fateful night. As they sat by the campfire, fishing lines cast into the calm water, Jamie spoke up. "You know, despite everything, I'm grateful for that night." Alex raised an eyebrow. "How so?" Jamie smiled. "It taught me the importance of trust, intuition, and the bonds we form. Plus, I got a hell of a story out of it." Both men laughed, the tension of the past finally melting away. The night deepened, and the two truckers, now more friends than colleagues, sat side by side sharing stories of their adventures, both ordinary and extraordinary. The road had brought them together, tested them, and in the end, strengthened their bond. And as the embers of the campfire slowly dimmed, the vast, starry expanse above seemed to whisper a promise, that the road, with all its twists and turns, would always lead them home.